Okay, today is January 18th, 2010, and today my guest is David Wheeler of Rock and Roll Robot. Hello, David. Welcome to the program.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going great. How's it going with you, man?
It's going pretty good. Having a good day so far.
Awesome. Martin Luther King Jr. Day today, and we all have the day off of work.
Yeah. Monday's my usual day off, but I am proud of Martin Luther King.
Oh, yeah. Good man. So, I wanted to talk with you a little bit about your musical roots, about basically your artistic upbringing. Where exactly and when did you get started in music?
Well, I mean, that's kind of like asking someone when their first breath was. I mean, as long as I can remember, my parents listened to oldies music in the car, and they'd listen to, like, Chuck Berry records at home and stuff, and the Beatles. And I don't like Elvis, but my mom was a big Elvis fan, and there was always, like, music going on in my house. And my dad would always talk about how he wanted to be a musician, and
David Wheeler, I'm going to have to stop you right there. We'll be right back, and for the second part of the Motherhalo interview with Rock and Roll Robot.